Today's the 12th, yeah.
I think it might be
Okay, let's go like this. Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Yivras Hashem b'simcha, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Vayu lefanav v'yinana, Amen. Are you drinking water or are you drinking something else?
Wow.
Where is Ezzy? I guess he went to meet somebody?
No, he had a phone call. He was asking someone to call her.
Okay. So, page 67. So what we said yesterday was that the last thing from Rav Kook was that when you meet somebody who's not religious, you should consider, why is this person not religious? It could be lack of information, it could be, and maybe if they have the information, maybe they had never had anybody, they never had a teacher like the Baal Shem Tov, meaning to say they never had anybody that could connect them to the inner dimension of everything. And this Yid doesn't want to just do this or do that. He wants to be connected.
What if someone was religious? And then
they likely didn't have, they very often they had their practice, but they didn't have the inner connection. That's the problem. To shake you this way.
Good to see
you. Okay. Page 67. So he says, "Ha'erech shel ha'olam," the value, the worth of the world. Madua lo hitpalel Noach al doro. Why didn't Noach daven for his generation? Ki Noach ha'amin b'Hashem. Noach believed in God. Hu hevin she'Hashem bara et ha'olam. He understood that God created the world. V'achshav hu rotze la'achriv oto. And now God wants to destroy it. Ha'olam malei anashim ra'im. After all, the world is full of bad people. Ve'en brera. There's no choice. Tzarich la'hashmid otam. They need to be wiped out. They need to be destroyed. Nachon, correct. Imishu Yomar li, if somebody would tell me, Kaniti glida b'shekel, I bought an ice cream for a shekel. I guess this is an old teaching. You don't get ice cream for a shekel anymore, right? And it's not, doesn't taste good. And I'm throwing it away. Lo efke al zeh. I'm not going to cry over it. But if he's going to tell me, Kaniti mashu $100 million ואני רוצה לזרוק אותו, if he says, I bought something for $100 million and I want to throw it away, מיד אתחנן אליו שלא יעשה זאת. I'm going to beg him, don't do it. Like, that's a terrible mistake. Right? Noach lo hevin et ha'erech shel ha'olam. Noach didn't understand the value of the world. Lo hevin kama ha'olam yakar. He didn't understand how precious the world is. Ken hu yada sheha'olam yafeh. Hu yada she'Hashem echad. He knew that the world is a beautiful place, that God is one. But kama ha'olam amok, but how deep the world is. Kama kol adam amok, how deep every person is. Lo haya lo musag, he had no idea. Lachen hu lo ra'a tzorach להתפלל. So he didn't. That's why he didn't feel any need to daven.
Also, maybe seeing like I'm trying to come from his perspective that like, well, God created everything and God could do anything. So it's so simple for God to create a new one.
Yeah.
So in his understanding, the world for God is a shekel worth ice cream.
Yeah, but but let's go a little bit further. I don't imagine that he would go so far to think that way. I imagine that he would probably be thinking, if God did this, then it's not a question of how easy it is for God to do it or not to do it. But he has his reasons. Hashem, this is Hashem's ratzon.
Yeah.
This is what God wanted.
I have the way I understand it is that Noach saw things on the surface level.
Well, that's what he's saying.
He didn't see
that's
the potential. He didn't look at people with Mashiach eyes.
That's exactly what
inside
Rav
to see
Shlomo,
all the wonderful potential that's there, that's hidden from the eye.
that's exactly what Rav Shlomo is saying here. He's saying he didn't have any understanding of the depth of the world and the depth of people. In other words, everything was being evaluated on the superficial level. You do what's good. If it tastes good, if it's you keep the ice cream. If it doesn't, you throw it away. And now that's true for ice cream, but it's not true for the world. It's not true for people. Understand? So he didn't recognize how important the world was to Hashem. In a certain sense, what Rav Shlomo is saying over here is that by Hashem telling Noach that he's going to bring the flood, Hashem is basically saying to him, please do whatever you can to change my mind. Mm-hmm. And that's what we see by Avraham Avinu and Sodom, right? That Hashem tells Avraham Avinu that he's going to destroy Sodom, and Avraham Avinu right away says, no, like, let's fix it. Okay, page 68, Taglit, birthright. Why did he call birthright Taglit? It's right. Yeah. Okay, Taglit, revelation. Huh?
And I guess coming to Israel on your birthright is
it's some sort of level of a revelation.
That I understand. So I guess they weren't trying to translate the word. Okay.
No.
No translation. I think you might have written this before. These words I said before there was a birthright.
Zohar Kadosh Shoel. The Holy Zohar asks, Lama hitpalel Avraham Avinu lahatzil et Sodom, aval lo matzanu shenoach hitpalel lahatzil et haolam. So question that the Zohar asks is, we've been talking about this question for the last couple of days. Why did Hashem tells Avram Avinu that he's going to destroy one city, and Avram Avinu is praying, and Hashem tells Noach that he's going to destroy the world, and he doesn't pray. Why? Azor oneh shenoach lo yitpalel avur baro. This is a different answer from what we said yet before. The Zohar's answer is that pashut mipnei shelo yada sheyesh musag kazeh tefillah. Noach didn't realize that there is such a thing as prayer. Noach lo yada sheyesh efsharut levakesh me'Hashem al achirim. Noach didn't know that you can pray to Hashem for somebody else. אבל אברהם אבינו אחרי ששמע שיוולד לו בן, when Avraham Avinu heard that he's going to be having a son, היה לו ברור לגמרי, it was completely clear to him, שהשם שומע תפילות, that God is answering prayers, right? How old was Avraham Avinu when Yitzchak was born? 99, right? And 99, 100, right?
99 when he was
and formed, and right? And Sarah was 90, right? And they never gave up on prayer. When they were told that she's going to have a baby, she's going to have a son, they realized, wow, it's really true that you can pray for somebody, right? הוא חשב, אני מתפלל במשך 99 שנים ושרה אשתי הקדושה מתפללת במשך 89 שנים. I've been praying for 99 years, and my wife has been praying for 89 years. Hashem shomea tefilot. God does hear prayers. Bim Hashem shomea tefilot. And if God hears prayers, madua shelo etpalel ba'avur stam. So why shouldn't I pray for Saddam? So somebody was saying yesterday, who was it? Was it you or whatever? That and while you're there, pull that window open, okay? Thank you.
Pull it open?
Yeah. That's right. Thank you. Somebody was saying that Avraham Avinu had like a knowledge of the history a little bit that Noach didn't. Was it you who was saying that?
I don't remember.
Huh? Anyway, so in other words, Noach had a certain advantage. I mean, Avraham Avinu had a certain advantage that you can sit over there also. It'd be easier to see you. The lady is drinking peanut butter.
Smoothie. This is not peanut butter, actually.
That's okay. You've graduated to coffee?
That's not coffee, no, it's
Oh,
fruit.
also good. Okay. Good. We just finished page 67. We're on 68. We just did 68. So, in other words, in order to daven, in order to pray, you have to have a sense that Hashem answers your prayers. If you don't have any sense of Hashem answering prayers, right? So then you're not motivated to pray. There's a very interesting Ishbitzer teaching by the Meraglim. Right? Remember, 10 of the spies decided that they're going to give a negative report. Yoshua, Kolev went, where did Kolev go to daven? Went to Hebron, right? And Yeshua doesn't say that Yeshua davened. So why didn't the 10 spies daven? And why didn't Yeshua daven? And why did Kolev daven? So this Ishbitzer says that the 10 spies weren't inspired to daven because prayer wasn't going to help them. Yeshua wasn't inspired to daven because he didn't need to daven over that. And Kalev was inspired to daven because he needed the energy of the prayer. And sometimes you feel like, I want to daven. That's a good sign. That's the sign that Hashem is letting you know, yes, daven. It's going to be helpful to you. Sometimes you don't feel inspired to daven. It could be because the davening is not going to help you, or it could be because you don't need to daven about this right now. Okay? Interesting. Now, the Ishbitzer also has a teaching on the pasuk Terem Yikrau Bani Ene. Before they're calling out to me, I'm already answering. And what the Ishbitzer explains is that there are times that a person is in need of something, and that everything is ready to help him, to give him what he needs. The only thing that's missing is his prayer. And I actually had a personal experience with that, more than once actually. But the first year that we were here, so like I was doing some work at Bar-Ilan University and in this program for teachers, and the deal was that all the participants would have to go back to Chutz La'aretz to teach for another 3 years. Well, Baruch Hashem, Judy decided she ain't going back, and she went ahead and convinced them that they should drop the 3-year demand to 1 year. So I went back for 1 more year to Montreal. So I went back at the end of summer. I came back for Sukkot, went back to Montreal after Sukkot, came back Hanukkah time. Then the next trip was going to be Pesach, and then the next trip after that, at the end of June, was going to be permanent. So when I got back to Montreal after Hanukkah, it was like a good 3 months before Pesach. Shvat Odor, and I knew that to get tickets for Pesach is not so simple. You know the story. So I called my travel agent, and I said, okay, like, his name was Shlomo. I said, get me a ticket. So there were 2 possibilities. One was to fly with El Al, one was to fly with KLM. With El Al, I would have been able to stay to the end of the semester before Pesach, but I would come back 2 days after the new semester was going to begin. With KLM, I would have to leave 2 days at the end of the semester, but I would be back in time for when we began after Pesach. So I went to my principal and I said, these are the choices. So she said she'd rather I leave 2 days before Pesach, 2 days early, and be back on time after Pesach. So I told the travel agent, okay, we're going KLM. So he got a reservation for Montreal, Amsterdam, Amsterdam, Tel Aviv, Amsterdam, Montreal. But Tel Aviv, Amsterdam was completely booked. So he says, but don't worry, we have another 12 weeks. I'm sure something's going to open up. Okay. A month goes by, nothing opens up. Another few weeks go by, nothing is opening up. And he's checking every day. Mamish, we're down to 12 days before Pesach. There was no longer any possibility of getting an El Al ticket because those got all booked up. And as far as KLM was concerned, they wouldn't issue the ticket unless I had the full trip, So, and it's like Mamish is 12 days before Pesach, and I'm sitting. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm sitting at my table doing some schoolwork, and it hits me that there's a real possibility that I was not going to be able to get to Eretz Yisrael for Pesach. So I stopped for a minute and I said, Rebbeinu Shalom, that if I don't have the merit to be here for Pesach, okay, I can understand that. But why should my children not have their father with them at the Seder? It's like, it's really important for children to be able to ask their father the 4 kashas. Less than a minute later, the phone rings. This is 10 o'clock at night. It's my travel agent. Shalom, sorry for calling you so late, but I got to tell you this. You have a ticket. Now, as the phone was ringing, I already knew. Okay? And he tells me what happened. He went, this is 10 o'clock at night. He went to the office to get some papers for a meeting that he was going to. And he got the papers, and he put his coat on, he put his boots on, stepped out of the office, locked the door, went 2 stairs down the stairway, and he says, you know what, let me check the computer one more time for Shlomo. He unlocked the door, turned on the computer, went on the KLM screen, and right as he got the KLM screen in front of his eyes, a seat opened up and he grabbed it. Okay? You understand? It's not like I prayed and Hashem said, oh, Shlomo is praying, okay, let's organize him a ticket. Everything was ready. That seat was going to open up. The travel agent was in his office. Everything was ready. He actually already left the office. But the moment that I said that prayer, Hashem put it into his head, go back and look at the computer. And he said literally, as soon as the KLM screen came on, literally in front of his eyes, the seat opened up and he grabbed it. So in other words, everything was ready. Even before they prayed, I'm ready to answer their prayer. It's there. Sometimes the only thing that's missing is the prayer. It's like Hashem didn't have to go and wake him up. Hey, Shlomo, get out of bed. We got to get a ticket for Sholem. It was all there. It's amazing. So sometimes if you're not inspired to daven, so don't beat yourself up that you're not davening. Maybe the prayer is, Hashem, please inspire me to daven. Like you can say to Hashem, I don't really feel like davening now. I would like to talk to you. I would like to talk to you. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time talking to you. Please open it up so that I can talk to you. The Alter Rebbe speaks about a different thing. He says, sometimes you plain and simple have to arouse compassion on your neshama. Right? Now, if I say to you, you have a neshama, it's stuck there in the exile of your body, of our bodies, right? It's stuck there, right? It's in the state of golus. Did that turn you on to have Rahmanas on your neshama right now? Yes, no? No, you don't look like it did. Right? Did it turn you on? No. Did it turn you on? No. Did it turn you on? No. Okay, now visualize the following. You're sitting in shul, and it's time for Kaddish. And all of a sudden, you hear the people saying Kaddish, and you hear a little 6-year-old boy saying Kaddish. How do you feel now? What did you just feel?
Emotional.
It makes you emotional,
Yeah.
right? You aroused, your compassion was aroused, right? Oy vey nebech. You don't have to think back too far back, Hashanah, just Sukkot.
Happened to my father.
Yeah.
6 years old. His
Or
father.
just
He lost his father at 6 years old.
but just now, the 4 children, the
Yeah.
Hankin children, in front of their eyes, their
Yeah.
parents were murdered, right?
Right.
So just think about that, right? So your compassion has just been aroused, okay? Now that your compassion has been aroused, now think about your neshama that's in a state of golus. Right? In other words, you have the emotion. Now take the emotion and bring it to your own neshama. Okay? Understand? It's actually a very effective strategy if you allow it, and you want to use it. Okay?
What does that do though? Like,
So now that you feel some compassion for your neshama, so you say, my dear neshama, what would you like? A glass of Coke or a glass of beer? And the neshama says, I want a mitzvah. You're gonna go and you're gonna do a mitzvah. Right? Bichlal, I heard an interesting, a number of years ago, Rabbi Riskin, I don't know if he still has this, but he used to have this organization, basically was like training teachers and rabbis and chazanim who were going out to work in Chutz La'aretz on Shlichut, and so they had a big conference. Like they called them all back together. Huh? Still has it?
Something like that.
Ezer Mitziona, whatever it's called. I don't know, but in any case, so on a Friday morning they were having a panel discussion on different styles of kiruv. And they had a Breslover, Moshe Erez, and they had the Shaliach from Ben Gurion University, and they had some Litvak kiruv worker, and I was invited to come as to speak about Reb Shlomo's way. Now the modern, or like literature type of kiruv organizations, they're looking to see how many notches they got in their gun, like how many Bali Shuva have you made in this last 12 months? Come on, tell us. Oh, 72, Gaval, 73, awesome. Okay. And their style is like, here's a prepared speech, here's what you're going to go, and you're going to speak about this, you're going to speak about that. And that will make the people think about this, then they'll ask you this question, then you'll speak about this, and you'll speak about that, and so on, so on. Okay, it's a style. It works for a number of people. The Chabad Shaliach said that the Rebbe's way was, when somebody comes to your door and they say they're hungry, what do? You give them a speech about why they should eat, or do you give them a piece of bread? Give him a piece of bread, right? See a yid who hasn't done a mitzvah in who knows how long, his neshama is starving. Don't give him a speech about why he should do a mitzvah. Give him a mitzvah. Once you give him the mitzvah, they say, "Oh, yeah, that's what I needed. Then tell me more." Then you can sit down and talk. Now he also said a very nice thing. He said that. He said, as far as Chabad is concerned,
Who's speaking?
This is the Shaliach from Ben Gurion University, who used to, by the way, originally was a Panovich, learned in Panovich. In any case, his point is that, I'm sorry, so he said, by the way, don't think that we're in competition with all the other organizations. As far as we're concerned, any organization that's working to bring Eden together, we're happy for you. We want you to do it. And he gave a good example. He gave a very good example. He says a king he has a dream he envisions a beautiful palace. He calls in the architects. He says, I had this vision of this beautiful palace. What would it take to get it done as quickly as possible? So they make an accounting, and the architects and the accountants, and they say, well, given your present resources, you have so many servants, and with these resources, you can do it in a year and a half. But if you go out and you hire another 3,000 laborers, you can get it done in half the time. The king says, okay, let's go. And they go out and they hire a bunch of workers, and everybody's carrying bricks, like, up to the construction site. Now, what's the difference between a servant of the king and who's carrying the bricks versus a hired worker? The difference is is, let's say somebody drops a load of bricks. So the guy who's hired is also carrying bricks. So he says, you know, I'm being paid for every load that I'm carrying, right? I'm being paid for every load that I'm carrying. So why should I stop and put my load down and help this guy put his load back on his shoulders? Why should I stop and help this guy? I'm also carrying the bricks, right? And besides, I don't want to lose any money, right? Whereas the servant of the king, his objective is to get all the bricks to the site. His objective is, what is it that the king wants? So he'll stop and he'll help that other guy pick up his load. Understand? So if you're doing this kind of avoid because you're in other words, it's quote unquote, it's a job, you understand, and you're being measured on how many people that you did this with and how many people you did that with and so on. So then you're in competition. But if it's all about getting everybody back to being connected, so good. You're also doing it. Gewalt, even better. You're also doing it even better. Understand? It's not a matter of competition. In any case, so then it was my turn. So the first thing I did was I said, can't say anything from about Reb Shlomo without first singing a nigun. So we sang a nigun. That already changed the whole atmosphere in the room. There were a couple hundred people there, like mamish, like they were starving for a nigun, So then I said that and it's probably you probably could see it online. When Shlomo was interviewed, there's this guy Brenner who has a Jewish TV program in New York. I forgot his first name, but so he interviews Reb Shlomo and he says, "What's your secret in Kiruv? You've brought so many Jews back to Yiddishkeit. What's your secret?" Now, the truth of the matter is, I doubt that I would say that you have a very hard time finding a Jew who hasn't had at least a few moments, even if it's only seconds, of Jewish pride, thanks to Reb Shlomo's Nigunim, whether they know it was Reb Shlomo's or whether they don't know it was Reb Shlomo's. You're going to have a hard time finding somebody who never heard Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, right? And religious, not religious, like we've got groups coming in here sometimes from all parts of the country. And when I sing the nigger with them, and these are people who are not religious, but you see, Am Yisrael Chai, Oda Vinu Chai, there's some pride. And they don't even, many of them never even heard of Shlomo. Okay? How many years have the Yidden been davening at Kabbalah Shabbos? Right? You're familiar with the pasuk, right? For years, people would just read that pasuk. How many thousands of Jews have changed the way they go? Right? So he asks Reb Shlomo, what's your secret? So Reb Shlomo says, first of all, I don't use the word kiruv. How do you know that the person that you're supposedly being mekarev, maybe they're eating a ham sandwich on Yom Kippur, but they might be closer to God than you are? How do you know? You don't know. And the Rebbe also didn't use the word kiruv. You can see it on some of the dollar videos. People would come from Eretz Yisrael and somebody would say to the Rebbe, he's working in kiruv v'choikim. Never hear that expression? Kiruv v'choikim. bringing those who are far, bringing them close. The Rebbe would say, there is no such thing as a Jew who is far from God. The very fact that you call Yehudi, the name Yehuda is God's name with a Dalet in it. Okay? So he says, first of all, I don't use the word kiruv. And he says, secondly, I don't have any strategy. I just pray to Hashem that Hashem is going to put the right words in my mouth. And he tells a story that back in 1982, there was this big conference of world religions about peace in Bombay. You know, what do they call Bombay today?
Mumbai.
Mumbai. And the person organizing it was a woman, a Jewish woman, a Swami. And guess whom she didn't invite? She didn't invite any Jews. Because as far, any Jewish representatives to come and talk, because as far as she was concerned, we had nothing to say about peace. Anyway, David Zeller, all of a sudden, through his contacts, managed to get an invitation for himself, for Shlomo, and for Zalman. And the three of them went, and they were the only three that actually had to buy their own tickets. They went.
The stories in the Manachai.
Is it? Yeah. And Zalman did his thing about, the Sfirat and the chakras, and David Zeller led a meditation. Then it was time for Shlomo to get up there. He says there were 20,000 people. And he gets up there and he says, I'm just a simple Jew from Brooklyn or New York. And he says, I don't remember if he said the word smell or stink, but I stink or smell like a Jew from all four sides. And I came to share some songs with you. And he says he shut his eyes, started singing. He didn't even dare to open his eyes for 20 minutes. When he finally opened his eyes, he couldn't believe it. The entire crowd was up and dancing. Okay. After the concert, Miss Swami comes up to him and gives him a hug and says, when you said that you stink like a Jew from all four sides, I realized I'm not fooling anybody.
She's Jewish.
No, we knew that she was Jewish, okay? But she wasn't. She was like hiding it. So she says, I realized I'm not fooling anybody. And Shlomo says today she's back. She used to be a Bes Yaakov girl. Bes Yaakov is a Haredi Jewish girls' school.
Before she was this one.
Before she was a Swami. And she lives in Har Nof, and she's got grown children. They're all Talmidei Chachamim. And when I finished, the moderator of the panel comes over to me and says, you were talking about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
It was his wife that I told us, that story was about his wife. I didn't know that. And then eventually we met her too. Okay? So we're talking about prayer, you understand? You have to know that prayer is effective. If you are in front of a group of people and you got to talk to them, or even just with one individual, and you got to talk about something serious, Hashem, please put the right words in my mouth. And in fact, it's Parshat Noach. So it says at the end of last week's Parsha, it says, "V'Noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem." Those are the last words of last week's Parsha. Noach found favor in the eyes of God. And Shlomo said that there's a teaching from one of the Hasidic masters that when you're going into a situation, whether you're going to give a class, or whether you're going into the office, or whether you're going, wherever you're going, it's a good thing to repeat, V'Noach matzah chen b'einei Hashem, to pray that you should find grace in the eyes of God and in the eyes of man. You know why Noach had the name Noach? It says in the Parshat last week. When he was born, they said, Zeh Yenachamuni. Zeh Yenachamuni. This fellow is going to comfort us. The Medrash says, what's the big comfort that Noach did? He invented the plow. Right? Because of the curse that Hashem gave to Adam Rishon, farming was an extremely difficult thing, still is. But Noach, actually, it was Noach who invented the plow, and that made life a lot easier for people, and that's why they called him Noach.
What's a plow called in Hebrew?
Huh?
What's a plow called in?
Machresha?
Nothing. No.
No. It is a...
Very.
Okay. So, page 69. So the Pasuk says, "V'hamayim gavru ma'od al haaretz." The waters became more and more powerful over the earth. The waters rose and rose. Vayechusu kol ha'arim, all the mountains got covered. Kol ha'arim ha'gvoim asher tachat kol hashamayim, even the highest mountaintop got covered by the waters. Rabbi Nachman v'chol hatzadikim sho'alim. So Rabbi Nachman and all the tzadikim asked, Shibara Hashem et ha'olam. When God created the world, you don't find in the Chumash, Hu lo amar yehi mayim. You don't find in the Chumash that God said, let there be water. Imkein, mehechan imkein, higiu hamayim. So where was the water from? Ha'emeti, the truth is, Shemayim hem hadavar hayachid shaya kayam b'shlav shebein kodem b'riyat ha'olam u'bein achar b'riyat ha'olam. Water existed somewhere between before creation and after creation. In other words, it's obviously it can't pre-exist creation altogether, right? But it was at some stage of creation before the stage of God saying, Yehi, let there be this, let there be that. Now, to understand that, let's not pretend. The Rambam says that to try to understand the Sodot, the secrets of the creation of the world, is as difficult as trying to explain color to a person who's blind from birth. Okay? So, but still, when the Zohar says something, or when you learn something like this, that water is something earlier than the creation of this world as we know it, that means it's obviously it was created, but it was a kind of creation that was of a different order than the creation of the rest of the world. Okay? So he says, Mayim tehorim legamri. Water is completely pure. Mipnei sheinam mushpa'im mehabriya, because they're not affected by the creation. Now, of course, you can take water and pollute it. Everybody knows that, right? But what you're doing is, did you want to know the truth? I don't think that you're actually making a change in the water, no matter how much garbage you throw into it. It's just that you can't drink that water because of the garbage that's in it. But I don't know if you're actually changing the water. Anybody want to bother finding out? I can give you the phone number of a water doctor. Huh?
I mean, you can change water, can't you? With the filters that we have. So,
You can filter things out, but the essence water.
The essence is still H2O.
changes the makeup of the water.
I don't know if it does. I think it's just a process of
H2O.
cleansing. What?
Water will always be H2O.
But the water is always going to be
The
H2O.
pH might change.
Huh?
Like the pH,
But that's again,
it's still water.
That's
but
not
it's
water,
still this.
right?
It's still the water.
Mhm.
Here, we'll give you 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 can call this guy and ask to speak to his wife Aura. She's a PhD in water.
Ah, David and Aura.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had spoke with David earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She's amazing.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
This is her.
She's amazing. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
she is kedai to get to know to go there for Shabbos.
Just in remote.
No. They're
Are they song?
what's the name of the place?
An Argon Pardes song.
Pardes Chana.
I had meals with them.
Yeah. Anyway,
I didn't know there was such a thing as a water doctor.
huh?
I didn't know there was such a thing as a water doctor.
Her PhD.
She's a well-known expert. Anyway, so if Shlomo says Hamayim Tehorim Legamri, water is completely pure. Mipnei she'einam mushpa'im me'habriya, it doesn't get affected by the creation. Mitzad echad hem nivro'u. On the one hand, waters were created. Aval mitzad sheni hem kadmu labriya. But on the other hand, the waters preceded the creation of this physical world as we have it. Lachen, so therefore, כשהעולם התקלקל אחרי שהוא נברא, when the world got ruined after it was created, Hashem התחיל לסובב את הגלגל אחורה, so Hashem, so to speak, turned the cycle backwards. הוא לא השחית את הבריאה לגמרי, he didn't completely destroy the creation, הוא פשוט החזיר אותה חצי צעד אחורה, he took it a half a step back to before creation so that it can get purified.
Can we connect the word Rishit to being like the source of water?
The word Bereshit itself?
Rishit. Like, because Bereshit is for the beginning. So
But a
could the
bear-
beginning possibly also
What is it?
translate to water?
Because a bear is like
Hmm?
Mayan, a bear.
Be'er, same letters, right?
Is that where you're from?
I don't know if I would connect the word to Mayim, but
So
It would be-
like,
it
what
would-
was
it-
at the Rishit?
it would be a big stretch. I mean, yeah, but to connect the word itself, you know.
Oh no, not to connect the word,
Okay,
but
you said connect the words. I didn't know what you mean. Okay, yeah. You mean bet Reshit, the second stage of Reshit, so to speak,
yeah, it would be the
in a certain sense. Now,
Can you really quickly just review what you said, like Hashem turned the world like half a step backwards?
So in other words, he brought it back to the purity, basically took the world and put it into a mikveh.
and also you could say, like we were taught, and we also know from life experience that the closer water is to its source, the sweeter it is, the better it is, the more pure it is.
The more pure it is. Yeah. But that's the whole idea of a mikveh is basically to go back into the amniotic sac that you're in before birth. So this is the mikveh is like the amniotic fluid of before creation. How do you like that for biology? Hasidic biology. Right? Bless you. Sneezing on the truth, eh?
You're going back to the source. Before we're all created from the source.
Well,
It's going back to-
our source is not water. we're going back to a step before. In other words, we're going back to a step of purity, right? So what do we say every morning? We say Elokai Neshama Shenatata Bi. So Tehorahi Ata Barata Ata Yetzarta Ata Nefachta Bi Ata Mishamra B'Kirbi. 5 stages of soul. We're familiar with 3 stages on a regular basis. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, the part of the soul that animates the body, the part of the soul, the aspect of the soul that relates with your emotions, the aspect of the soul that relates with consciousness. Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. Okay. And then there's Chaya. And Yechida. Okay. Chaya is like the meta soul, the part of the neshama that vivifies the 3 lower parts of the neshama, which we're normally not in touch with, which we can. And then there's Yechida, is the part of the neshama that is always in union with Hashem. When you do something in this world, it's basically nefesh, ruach, and neshama that is operant.
So what's Yehida again?
Unity, the part that's always in union with God. If I do something wrong, it's the 3 lower levels of my neshama, nefesh, ruach, and neshama, that got involved in it.
So what was
The
Chaya?
chaya is the meta soul. It's like the higher level of the neshama that is responsible, that vivifies the 3 lower levels of the soul. It's that's something else. It's sort of like the in-between, the part of the neshama that is always in union with God, and the 3 lower parts of the neshama that are operant in our daily life experience. Okay? Now, Chaya and Yechida do not normally manifest to us in a conscious way. Every day we have them 3 times, corresponding to Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. Shabbos we have a 4th prayer, so you have access to the higher level of Neshama. Yom Kippur we have 5 prayers. Ne'ilah is, it says that you can experience that part of your Neshama that is constantly in union with Hashem. Now, when you experience those 2 levels of Neshama, you actually don't have any free choice. There's no way, like in other words, we know through history that Jews who were told to convert or die, we know that Yidden who were not religious at all, when given that choice, they chose death. And the question is, why? Didn't have any religious practice. But at that moment, the Chaya and the Yechida of the Neshama manifested to this person. And when the Chaya and the Yechida of your Neshama manifest, you know that there's nothing whatsoever in the rest of the world and the rest of the universe that you would exchange for that connection with Hashem. Okay? So normally you don't get to experience your Chaya and Yechida because if you would, you wouldn't have free choice. Okay? So why did I bring this up? So because it says over here about water being completely pure, right? In other words, when you say in the morning, the soul that you've given me is pure, how can I say that my soul is pure if I did X, Y, and Z? The answer is, there's a part of the neshama that is always tahora, that is always pure. The yechida part of the neshama is where your neshama is bonded and in union with Hashem, that part of the neshama is pure. And it's because of that even though I may have done who knows what yesterday, I'm not bound to repeat my mistakes. I can do complete tshuva and keep moving forward and higher. And that relates to the idea of the water. This relates to the idea of the waters of the mikveh. Okay? That by going into the mikveh, you're going back to a step before creation, a step which cannot be corrupted, and connecting with that part of your being, which is always in a state of union. So, other than this being very interesting philosophically, practically speaking, the Maisa, what it means is that you can actually, in other words, you have the choice. Do I want to be stuck on my mistakes and focus on the damage and the wrongdoings that I've done? Or do I want to say, I want to move forward and Hashem, please help me have that cleansing purity, even if it's only for a few moments, so that I should move forward instead of being stuck in the back. Okay, the Seder? Yeah. Very good. Thank you for coming. And